Hello everyone, this is Vrishali and welcome to the Power Electronics and Applications. In this session, we are going to see how the power devices can be protected by cooling and heat sinks. So we will discuss protection circuits for power devices, electrical analogy of heat transfer, then thermal equivalent circuit, heat sinks and different cooling methods. So let's start. So in converter circuits, voltage transients may occur due to a reverse recovery process of power devices and switching actions in presence of circuit inductances. Short circuit fault conditions may also exist in a carefully designed circuits. It results in excessive current flow through the device. Therefore, the heat produced by such losses in semiconductor devices must be dissipated sufficiently and effectively to operate these devices within their upper temperature limit. For this, it is necessary to ensure the circuit conditions do not exceed the rating of a power devices. In practice, power devices are protected from thermal runaway by heat sinks, high dV by dt and di by dt by snubber circuits, reverse recovery transients, supply and load side transients, fault conditions by fuses. So as we know, power losses in semiconductor devices appears in the form of heat. The accumulation of heat energy increases the temperature of an internal structure of a device. This heat must be removed from the body of a device by transferring it to the ambient environment. Heat transfer takes place in the following three ways: convection, conduction and radiation. In the convection, the mechanical transport of a heat by moving fluid or gas. Fluid flow in the natural convection is caused by temperature gradients. In conduction process, the heat transfer among stationary interfaces, that is solids, by a vibratory motion of atoms or molecules. And in case of radiation, the transfer of thermal energy through the thermal emission takes place. Convection cooling is commonly used in the industrial applications. The thermal energy flow takes place from the region of a high temperature to a lower temperature. In the same way, in electrical circuit, current flows from a point of a high potential to low potential. Therefore, the heat transfer is analogous to a current flow. So there is an analogy between thermal power flow and a current flow, which is depicted in this table. So the temperature difference is analogous to a potential difference. Thermal power or rate of heat transfer is equivalent to a current in our electrical circuits. Thermal resistance is analogous to electrical resistance R. Therefore, Q is equal to temperature difference by rate of heat of transfer. That means Q is the thermal resistance, which is equal to, in case of our electrical circuit, what is R? It is V by I, voltage by current. So potential difference divided by current. So in case of thermal quantities, thermal resistance Q is equal to temperature difference divided by rate of heat transfer. So this is the analogy of electrical circuit or electrical quantities and thermal quantities. So by this analogy, with Ohm's law, the steady state temperature difference, that is T1 minus T2, and when the constant thermal power P average flows through the thermal resistance, that is a theta 12 or Q12, which is given by temperature divided by rate of heat of transfer. Thus, theta 12 is equal to T1 minus T2 divided by P average, where T1 is greater and T2 is lower value. That means high temperature minus low temperature. Using the electrical analogy, heat flow for semiconductor junction to ambient fluid can be represented by the thermal equivalent circuit as shown here, in which thermal power P average at a junction is analogous to a constant current source. So in our electrical terminology, I'll explain you this P average is nothing but a current flowing through this circuit. Tj, Tc, Ts and Ta are the Vj, Vc, Vs and Va potential difference, and theta Jc, theta Cs and theta Sa are our resistances. So similar to electrical circuit, the heat generated at the junction flows from junction to case, case to heat sink and from heat sink to the surrounding atmosphere. So J stands for junction, C stands for case. So resistance between Tj and Tc is theta Jc. Similarly, S stands for sink and A stands for atmosphere. So the steady state temperature difference between junction and ambient is given by Tj minus Ta, which is equal to I into R. These three resistances, thermal resistances, are in series. So the equivalent will be theta Jc plus theta Cs plus theta Sa. So V2 minus V1 will be equal to I into R1 plus R2 plus R3. The same thing is written over here. Tj minus Ta is equal to PAV into theta Jc plus theta Cs plus theta Sa. So the same notations are written over here, and this current can be given by the temperature differences between two terminals divided by the intermediate resistance. So P is equal to Tj minus Tc upon theta Jc, Tc minus Ts upon theta Cs and so on. So the value of this junction to case thermal resistance is specified in the device datasheet. The value of case to sink thermal resistance depends on the size of a device, because the size affects the contact area between device and heat sink. The theta Sa, that is sink to ambient thermal resistance, is measured from the device mounting area where heat sink is hottest to cooling fluid. Its value depends on the parameter such as heat sinks, material, surface area and volume occupied or airflow. Now we will see the different types of heat sinks. So these are various types of heat sinks: cross-cut, active fan, folded fin, stampings, bonded fin and extruded. Apart from this, other types are also available. The contact area between the device and heatsink is extremely important to minimize the thermal resistance between the case and the sink. The surface should be flat, smooth, free of dirt, corrosion and surface oxides. The silicone greases are normally applied to improve the heat transfer capability to minimize the formation of oxides and corrosion. Proper mounting of a device and proper installation procedure by manufacturer is also important aspect. The device may be cooled by heat pipes partially filled with the low vapor pressure liquid as shown in this figure. The device is mounted on one side of a pipe and condensing mechanism on the other side. The heat produced by device vaporizes the liquid and vapor then flows the condensing end, where it condenses and liquid returns to a heat source. The device may be some distance from the heat sink. But in case of high power applications, the devices are more effectively cooled by liquids, normally oil or water. The water cooling is very efficient. It approximately 3 times more effective than oil cooling. It is necessary to use distilled water to minimize the corrosion and antifreeze to avoid freezing. In case of oil cooling, it provides good insulation and eliminates the problems of corrosion and freezing. Heat pipes and liquid cooling techniques are commercially available. So this is all about heat sinks and cooling. Thank you. Stay home, stay safe, and happy e-learning.